last meeting, both committees have been very, very active. They're both to be commended for the amount of work that's being done, and necessarily a lot of documents, a lot of review, and a lot of coordination with many people, council members and otherwise. So it's been a very busy couple of weeks on both of those levels. The ordinances, I think, Mayor, you mentioned in your report, and the gentleman who spoke during the public commentary, obviously the new legislation on marijuana is a hot button issue throughout all municipalities. And I know that both the Public Safety Committee and also the Land Use Committee here, well before the comments tonight, have been meeting regularly to talk about it. We do know that the governor seated his Cannabis Commission this past week, and they had their first meeting on Monday. So we're all awaiting the regulations, which will stem from that committee, which will be some guidance to Allendale and all other municipalities on how to address that issue going forward. And obviously the subtleties between medical marijuana, which the governing body has previously provided for in its ordinance, and recreational marijuana will be a very interesting issue to see how it develops when the commission issues its report. In addition, we've worked with Mr. Kistner on some land use issues and some personnel matters, and ordinances and resolutions on tonight's agenda.
Right.
Thank you.
No, thank you very much for that and for all of your work. I know you've been very busy, and we appreciate the guidance. Michelle?
Thank you. We're just very busy in the clerk's office. We are selling compost permits. Councilman Strouch mentioned that it opened this past weekend. We actually went on to the facility and sold quite a few. And so we encourage residents to reach out to us and buy those. And then we're just very busy with Oprahs,
Right.
as Mr. Wiss and TJ are painfully aware.
So
Some more interesting than others.
Right.
Yes.
I know this is off topic and it's not, but to the public, I don't say this to you, I say this to the public. Michelle, Tatiana, John, everyone at Borough Hall is working tirelessly for all the residents. If you as a resident and you're frustrated, we understand frustration seems to be, a lot of people are. Don't take it out on our borough employees. Don't take it out on the people that are answering the phone. I don't want to tell you how late at night Michelle is here and the weekends she's here trying to make sure that the borough runs seamlessly for us. So I just ask to everyone, their employees, they're going beyond the call of duty on a daily basis, and they have since they started, and certainly through COVID. So I just want to take that opportunity to thank you. I know you don't want the thanks, you don't want the attention, but you, Tatiana and John, and everyone else, and bless everyone for all of their work. Ron?
Not to belabor the point, I usually don't have a report, but I think it's important tonight, maybe just because some things going on in my personal life. I want to thank everybody. Mr. Wiss is our borough attorney. He does more than residents. I think maybe people realize he cares about this community. He goes out of his way. He gives me input, expertise on stuff that I don't even bring to his attention. The clerk's office, some people might know us, people don't need to know, whatever. I'm shorthanded in the DPW right now. My wonderful assistant's out right now. Has been the finance office, Gina, Alyssa, and Carol especially, with a smile, help me out more than they need to. The clerk's office, Michelle, myself, Tatiana, and John, we all worked together in the past. They're more than co-workers, they're my friends. They look out for me, which I need a lot of looking out for sometimes. Everybody here is just very special. The mayor and council, I know I can be grumpy sometimes and even get on your guys' nerves. I consider you guys friends. I live in Hasbrook Heights, but I consider Allendale a second home. Not to get emotional, but just need to be said tonight. Thank you.
Thank you. I agree. I join. Yeah.
Thanks. That was really sweet. We know you're going through a lot.
Right. Join in the sentiment. Lisa, would you like to give your report, or do you have a report? Anything you'd like to add?
No.
Okay. Open the floor. So we're nearing the end of the meeting. Open the floor to the public on any matter. Anyone who wishes to be heard at this time?
Hello, can you hear me?
I can hear someone. I'm not sure who it is.
Okay, all right, because before I had to leave the meeting and come back, you couldn't hear me. This is Natalie Katoni Sadi. I live at 16 Heights Road. I have a question. It has nothing to do with any of the agenda items. It's about voting machines in our town and who the manufacturer is of those voting machines, if you happen to know.
No,
I think that would be, this is Michelle Ryan, the acting municipal clerk. And I think that's a question that would best be answered by the Bergen County Superintendent of Elections. If you'd like to call me or send me an email tomorrow, my contact information is on the website. I can reach out to them on your behalf and then pass along that information to you.
Okay,
The borough of Allendale does not have voting machines. They're supplied by the county of Bergen.
right, okay, that's what I thought. I was just curious what, okay, great. What is your name? Again, Michelle?
Michelle Ryan. And my email address is michelleryan@allendale.nj.gov.
Okay, great. Thank you so much.
great. Thank you. Thank you for your question. Anyone else? Anyone else wish to speak at this time? Not seeing anyone.
May I please speak?
Is that Mark?
Pardon?
I
Mark,
think that's Jeffrey King.
Yes.
okay.
Thanks, Jeff King, 24 Elizabeth Parkway, Eatontown.
Yes.
I just, well, first, let me give my condolences to Daryl and the Bataro family and the volunteer ambulance corps. Sorry for your losses. I'm from Eatontown, but I have family in Waldwick, and every time we come up, we always stop at the celery farm. And such a great place, seeing the birds. We always bring a bag and pick up litter. There's nothing there really, but we make sure of that. And I just was thinking about what Mr. Grimes said during the workshop, and I think it is important to have medical cannabis access for people who are sick and suffering and vulnerable. I think you understand that medical is important. I think I'm hearing that. I appreciate that understanding. The AARP and the American Legion also support medical cannabis. So a lot of people have loved ones that would be affected. So thank you for your compassion on that. And I was just thinking about how, I don't want to see any cannabis litter in the celery farm or anywhere in town, in my town, your town, anywhere. And I think, like, how do we keep the litter down? We have responsible operators that educate the customers that we don't want to have our product out there in the environment. So if you see alcohol litter, you can go back to the liquor store and say, hey, clean this up. If you don't have a local operator, a resident working there and running and owning the operation, then you don't have that control. And that's just one example. Litter is ugly and we don't want it, but that's just one example of how being proactive and having an operation that is responsible and ethical, preferably local and diverse, then you really benefit by not burying your head under the sand and being in denial that right now the black market is serving all of New Jersey. There's no question that there's all kinds of stuff around, and who knows who's selling what. No one's checking ID, and they're selling whatever else they sell, something that may be more dangerous to people, young people, that we want to keep away and discourage them from having contact with a person that might have cocaine or PCP or something, when all they might want is a little cannabis for spiritual use or just some medical use that isn't necessarily diagnosed. It helps me sleep better. I'm not technically a patient. I'm just, I guess, a civil disobedient until the governor signed the law. But the people voted for cannabis, and if you don't want to provide that in your town, that's not really a big concern for me, other than medical people that really need it. But I think that it would be consistent with the will of the people and just individual liberty and freedom in a conservative government to advocate for home growing rights. Tell from Gottheimer to Trenton, please tell your peers home growing rights are altogether fitting and proper. So I think, Martha Stewart would be a fit for your town. The Berkshires of Massachusetts, that's a lot like your area, I think, and it works there. So keep an open mind, check it out. And I wish you the best with this. I wish you good luck, and I appreciate very much your time. And to the children of Northern Highlands Regional, I want to tell them that I am against Asian hate and Black lives do matter, and I appreciate them having that conversation frankly and openly. And bless you all. Thank you. Good evening.
Great, thank you for your comment. Thank you. Mr. Savastano, did you have something that you want to say, public comment at this time?
Yes, thank you, Mayor. I don't know, my mouse is not working well this evening, so having trouble unmuting myself here. I just wanted to mention about the Green Team. We did submit for 2 grants. I'm confident that we'll receive the smaller $2,000 grant. And we also submitted the second grant for $20,000. And I want to thank Jim and Ed for their assistance, and also Michelle. I know that's important, that dealing with Joe DeFranco, who helped to write the grant. So we made a lot of progress in that regard. Ridgewood is hosting an EPS styrofoam recycling event this Saturday. If anybody happens to have styrofoam that they would like to bring to Ridgewood, you can bring it after 10 p.m. It's open to the public until noon. Also, I want to thank Liz. She had sent information to me about a composting program that has begun in Ridgewood, and I was able to invite a council member and their recycling coordinator to be a speaker at our Green Team meeting, and that was very helpful. Very interesting presentation, and I'm on board, Liz, with that. It's a good program, and it'll significantly affect the amount of trash that ends up, and hopefully will lower tipping fees in the future. And also your questions about textiles were very interesting. Thank you for that. I have a quick question about the water, if you don't mind, Liz. I know you mentioned that the RFP went out. Is there a time frame on when you expect that would be implemented? Because I have an idea that might be helpful in the future, along with what Jackie McSwiggan had done, to have everybody allow an inspection of their sump pumps. Would that be something that would disappear? Would we have no responsibility for that type of program any longer?
So the inspections of the sump pumps had to do with the sewer and our sewer charges. And it is, there's an ordinance against having your sump pumps empty into what would then be collected into the sewer system. And so that the sewer system is we use Northwest Bergen Sewer Authority. And that is something that, again, the sewer next to the police, the sewer costs are our largest budget line item. So we're always trying to encourage individuals to make sure that they are in compliance with that ordinance. So that will, that remains important, just that we continue to try to decrease unnecessary water going into the sewer system, which just costs money.
Okay, well, but my question is something that a similar program, perhaps to address timings on sprinkler systems, for example. Would that be in our purview if the system were sold to do something like that? Or maybe you don't think that's necessary?
I mean, I think at this point, quite honestly, we can always talk about things right now. We do, when necessary, we restrict the timing. Always, we're trying to get people to not use their sprinklers daily. It's not necessary for plantings unless they need an exception for new plants. But we're not, the RFP has gone out. The timeline is that we should have the, any bid responses back on Friday, May 21st. And we'll move forward. And if there were to be a bid that the Water Committee and the Mayor and Council then felt should be moved forward into public review, that would then happen going forward. And based upon the way the legal statutes that we're working under, we would bring it, anything that seemed valuable would be brought to referendum at the November election. But certainly, I always welcome, Mark, contact me. I'd love to talk about water. So, any ideas you have, certainly email me, and we can, either you can email me the information or we can talk, set up a time to talk.
All right, great, thank you.
Great.
Yeah.
Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard at this time?
My name is Edward Lefty Grimes. Again, I'm with sativacross.org, 501c3, New Jersey. I appreciate that you guys prayed before the meeting. I like that a lot. I'm Christian, and that's I'm disabled, and I don't work anymore. And I have dedicated my life to helping the sick and the dying people. And let me just read something for you, because I know some towns they don't pray, or they stop praying, and I don't know why, but Genesis 1:29, then God said, "Here I have given to you every dangerous pill that pharmaceutical..." Oh, no, he didn't say it. God said, "Here I have given you every seed-bearing plant that is on the entire earth, and every tree with seed-bearing fruit. Let them serve as fruit for you. Every wild animal of the earth, and to every flying creature of the heavens, and to everything moving on the earth in which there is life, I have given all green vegetation for food." And it was so. And if you look in Ezekiel 47:12, it talks about leaves of healing. So there is precedence in the Bible, because that's what we used for thousands of years. And I was on OxyContin. I was on these man-made chemicals for years, because I have an artificial disc, I have a fusion, I have a 2-level cervical here. I had a couple of years ago. And for 10 years, I was a zombie. I was drooling on myself from OxyContin, roxicodone, gabapentin, Valium. They had me on all these drugs, and they were almost free. They actually were free. I was on workers' comp, so these were free drugs. I was getting all these drugs for free. And I was a zombie. I didn't like the way I felt. And they had me on 90 milligrams of Roxy every 3 hours. Yeah, you heard me right. 90 milligrams of Roxy every 3 hours was my prescription. That's enough to kill somebody. And it took me a long time to get off those pills. It took me 10 months. Using cannabis, it took me 10 months. I tried for 3 days. The first time, I failed. I wound up in the fetal position on the floor. Second time, same thing. It took me 4 tries. I had to titrate from 90 milligrams to 45 to 30. I had to keep titrating down. And I got to a level where I could go cold turkey, and I got off of it. But now, I didn't make it easy on myself. At the time, I just smoked a bunch of cannabis and got myself off those pills. But what I should have done is used oils and tinctures and edibles and even suppositories. And that's what I use now to help deal with my pain. When I had this 2-level cervical fusion done 2 years ago, I was afraid they were going to put me back on opiates. I didn't want to be back on opiates. And I was afraid that, I'm going to have to go start through all that stuff again and go through withdrawals again. And I didn't go through that. I used cannabis suppositories, cannabis tinctures, cannabis edibles, oils. I didn't take any pills for this 2-level cervical fusion. 0. I was surprised. I actually surprised myself at how powerful and great God really is, and how his medicine has saved my life and many other people. And I would urge you to look at this. We're going to call it a wheelchair tax, a cancer tax, a tax on multiple sclerosis. That's what it is. Let's face it, it's a wheelchair tax. But I would urge you to take that tax and give us representation for that taxation, and give us wheelchair access in the few places that you don't have access. There's a few. I got to tell you, your sidewalks are amazing. You spent a lot of time and effort on those sidewalks, and they're great. But I think that there's a couple places that could be have access, and with that wheelchair tax money, maybe that you can partner with these businesses to go in halves with them. And they're not big problems. It's like one step, and a one step is a wall to someone in a wheelchair. And I'll leave it at that. I'm looking forward to speaking more with you about this, and just to keep the minds of keep your minds on the patients. That's all I'm saying. Thank you very much.
Thank you for your comments. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard at this time?
Yes, I would like to.
Yes, can you hear me okay?
Uh,
Oh,
Jack,
you can go first, that's okay. That's okay, you can go first.
the floor is yours.
Oh, me? Okay, all right. Sorry, so what,
Begin. Jackie, do you have a comment?
Oh, I just want to, I joined the meeting late and I apologize because I was leaving. We had a library board meeting tonight. But just on behalf of the library board, our strategic plan committee met with the finance committee of the council, and we are going to be going ahead with applying for the state library grant. And we just want to thank the council for your support and your guidance and your open hearts towards, supporting us in this endeavor. We're not sure we have a crack at this, but we felt like we have a responsibility to the residents of Allendale to at least try to get some money to renovate the library. So we're going to proceed with it. We're going to be filing our application by June 4th with the help of the borough's grant writer and the architect. But again, I just want to really let you know how grateful we are for your support and your guidance on this, because we'll probably be circling back with you through the process to make sure we're on track and we're all looking in the same direction on this.
Great, Jackie. Thank you. And thank the library board for all of their work.
Awesome. Jackie, you need to state your address, sweetie.
Oh, sorry, 70 Greenway.
Great. Thank you. Anyone else from the public wish to be heard? Is that?
Hello. Hi,
Yes.
this is Natalie again from 16 Heights Road. Just real quick, I forgot to mention earlier, you had discussed the conditions of your fields and all of that. And I've noticed for the past few years, the grandstand itself has had some sort of graffiti on the top bench. I don't know if anybody's been there lately. I haven't been there lately, but the last time I was there, it was still there. And it's been there.
Where, Natalie? Is it on the home side or the visitor side?
It's in the grandstand. It's
all right.
side
You got it,
field.
David. We're aware of it.
Ron,
Okay.
Mr. Fisher said that it's being addressed.
Should be next week.
Thank you.
It's going to be addressed next week.
Okay, great, thank you. And it's also like the grandstand, I know that it's probably hard to care of it, but it typically is, it's like filthy. I know it must be hard to keep up with that and maintain it, but as a parent sitting in the stands with, guests who come in and sometimes sit there, I think it could be, a better condition. Thank
Great.
you.
Okay. All right.
Thank you
Thanks.
for your comment. Anyone else wish to be heard? Anyone that we haven't heard of? JV. I'm not sure who that is, but you have a comment?
Yes, good evening. My name is Jamie Van Skyver. I'm from Paulsboro, New Jersey. I'm also with sativacross.org, nonprofit for cannabis patients and disability accessibility.
Please tell us your address, please.
427 Greenwich Avenue in Paulsboro.
Great. Okay, go ahead with your comment.
Thank you for making the distinction between medical needs and recreational happenings. I personally am a patient as well.
So I just want to be clear. You're welcome to make your comment. As we discussed in the work session, we don't have anything on the agenda tonight on this. It has been discussed in our land use committee. It's been discussed in our public safety committee. Any action that we take there will be notice of it. It'll be on the agenda. So you may, I understand we have 3 comments from people not from Allendale who wish to make their opinions known. That's fine. But you might want to follow our agenda, and when it's on the agenda, then come and give your comments then.
I waited patiently and didn't disrupt during your agenda comment portions, and this is open public comment, and I'm permitted to make my comment during this time.
You're free to speak. I was just trying to clarify in case you missed during the work session. I spoke to it that it's not on the agenda tonight. So I was just trying to clarify in case you had missed that. You're free to speak.
We're done with the agenda items, right? We're now in open public comment.
That's correct.
So why would I be confused?
Go ahead, ma'am.
Thank you. I'll start off by extending my condolences to your EMS. I myself have spent a few decades in my community Squad 17-9 as an EMTD, search and rescue, environmental triage specialist, and firefighter 1. I understand it's a very hard hit to the community. I volunteered a lot until I got sick. I was diagnosed with immune illness, systemic lupus. My immune system attacks my body, my soft tissue, my vital organs, tendons, ligaments, muscles, skin, basically everything that's not bone. I was having to go take infusions, take immune suppressants to try to shut down my immune system from attacking me. Anti-malarials because my kidneys were unfortunately a favorite target and that was supposed to protect them. Nerve blockers, antidepressants, anti-anxieties. I was on at least a dozen things. Now I don't take anything. I'm pharmaceutical free. I'm completely managing my illness with cannabis. I'm not just masking my symptoms and tricking my brain and chemicals into not thinking I'm not sick or not in pain. My body's actually healing itself, and I can prove that. Lab work does not lie. My inflammation levels are down. My kidney is repairing, basically. And my anti-nuclear antibodies, anti-DNA, that's what's produced when your immune system attacks itself, and that's the only thing it's produced out of. That's below in normal range, and I have that completely managed with a plant, with a system in my body called the endocannabinoid system that God put there, and a plant called the cannabis plant that's on this earth that God also put there. I don't know if people really comprehend when we talk about chronic illness and chronic pain. These ailments are not going away, ever. And when chronic pain, you start down a road of pharmaceuticals, your body's going to develop tolerances, and in turn, your body's going to need and want more and ravage your body sooner. I don't want to go down that path for my medical choices. People are killing themselves, veterans. I don't know if any of you are bothered by that, 25 per day. I don't know if you're familiar with antidepressants and SSRIs, but they can increase thoughts of suicide desire. And this is what we're giving them. Instead of cannabis, instead of a plant, it's so dangerous, unlike whatever they just dealt with and got their PTSD from. But if you think it doesn't belong in your community, I hope you wonder if you all sat here and voted about, did pharmacies belong in your community? Because that's where the fentanyl, that's where the Oxycontin, that's where Xanax and Klonopin and the things that are abused and the things that people are overdosing on come from. Cannabis has never killed a single person in history. If someone has exposure to cannabis and goes to the hospital, they will be there for observation. They're not filtering their blood. They're not pumping their stomach. They're literally sitting there observing them. You're not administering Narcan. As an EMT, and I still do a lot of outreach in cities near me, Camden, Trenton, Atlantic City, I have to keep Narcan on me because I'm going to watch somebody go down during outreach, during volunteer, during feeding, during clothes distribution. And I'm not administering any Narcan for people on cannabis. I'll tell you that right now. It's fentanyl, and that's what's in your pharmacy. And I hope if you do consider a medical dispensary that you don't impose harder implements than you would a pharmacy and other people's medical needs. And I would also ask you to consider, if you're going to be taxing that, do you need that money that bad, like blood money? Are you taxing other people's medication? You would have a business in town, it would bring revenue and people eating. People aren't using cannabis. I'm a medical cannabis patient. Unfortunately, I have to travel. I don't drive. I considered myself lucky. I have one within half an hour, but that's unfortunately the one that usually has moldy medicine. And with my lungs being compromised already with my immune illness, I really can't risk it. So now that means I need like $130 one-way Uber ride to the next dispensary. Maybe if delivery were implemented like Jake's Law, and I'm not holding my breath for that, but I like to go out and tend to my own needs, my own shopping. I like to browse and see what's available, not just a few menu items. Maybe if the tech guy updated the thing that day. Don't make people house arrest, homebound. Like, they deserve to go out in their community and attend to their own needs. And that's not going to happen if you ban their medication. And we are at a point that 67% of the state voted for recreational, and I'm still sitting here making sure that you understand medical. Listen to your constituents, please. Do you think they voted for it because they didn't want it around?
So I'm going to, if I get your name and address, I'm going to have to stop you because you're 5 minutes, but I appreciate what you said. I want to make sure that your comments get put in the record and attributed to you. Could you just spell your name so we can make sure it's in the record?
Jamie, Jaime.
Yes.
Van Sciver, VAN space capital SCIVER, and it's 427 Greenwich Avenue, Paulsboro, New Jersey, 08066.
Okay, thank you. The battery's out.
That was the end of my time, or?
Yeah, I'm sorry. Yeah, that was a little over, but I didn't want to cut you off. Yeah, but that's okay. It's plugged in. So the laptop has run out of power. Is there anyone else from the public who wishes to be heard?
Yes, I would like to be heard, please.
And I can't see you, so just say your name and address for the record.
Marina, Marina, like where you dock a boat. Last name Redmond, 3 Borough Square, Parlin, New Jersey.
Okay.
I'd like to discuss my journey with medical cannabis and how much it's helped me with anxiety and with, unfortunately, cancer. When I was little, I was born with a severe birth defect on my left leg. They tried to do a bunch of surgeries. It didn't work. I had to spend nights in the hospital. Back then, your parents weren't allowed to stay in. They told you to be a big girl, not to cry. I was 1, 2, 3, and 4 years old. Imagine having somebody tell you or your child to be a big girl. When I would go through surgery, you know how these days your parents would let it cuddle you and kiss you and bring you in the operating room? No, they were just burning. They had these masks on, their hair up, and it was scary. And I was told once again, you'll be fine. Nothing is wrong. Yeah, right. And I got so scared, and it was unbelievable, which I got anxiety from. My blood pressure can go so far up where it could go up to 199, and that's really high. And then unfortunately, in 2017, I was diagnosed with stage 4 cancer. I lost 50 pounds in 3 weeks. That's an insane amount of weight to lose. It took me over a month for me to get my medical cannabis card. And I had to drive 30 minutes one way, 30 minutes another way. Actually, I had to have somebody drive me because I couldn't drive because of the chemo. The chemo is just unbelievable. I don't know if anyone's here has ever been on chemo, and I pray to God you never do. I hope to God that one day there's a cure for this. But it is so bad where you can't move. You have chemo brain. You can't think. You can't move. I've had doctors tell me, please smoke before you see me because of my anxiety. The medical, I can't say enough words how much the medical cannabis has helped me. Like I said, I lost, 50 pounds in 3 weeks. And for those who can't drive, you can take Uber or Access Link. But sometimes they don't want to drive you there. And if you have a service dog, all of a sudden they become allergic. And Access Link, that's even worse. They call that Access Link, same thing. They can just drop you off and pick you up whenever. And then to top it all off, when you go to the dispensaries, you're not even allowed to use their bathrooms. So if you have an issue, you can't use their bathrooms. Like I said, and already in your county, you have 150 places which prescribe medical cannabis, internal medicine, family practice, oncologies. You actually have 9 psychiatrists in your county alone that prescribe it, 1 in your town. You have 2 pediatric doctors that prescribe medical cannabis. One of them is in your town. These how much these doctors believe and love. And we only have 10 dispensaries. Imagine only having 10 of your Walgreens or 10 of CVS's. Could you imagine how bad that would be for you guys? And for the people who say, oh, we can have the next town over. No, we can't. Because when you're that sick, you can't move. And it's not fair to us. In a way, it's bullying. It's bullying people with cancer, people with all these horrible diseases. You have people with PTSD who count on this drug like me. I have it because of what happened to me when I was younger. And if you want to ask me any questions, feel free. This is just such a great thing. It's so bad where my anxiety was so bad. My mother would say, please go upstairs and smoke. Doctors would beg me to smoke because my anxiety was so bad. What doctor would tell you, please smoke medical cannabis before you see me? Has anyone ever had a doctor tell you that? Like I said, there's already 150 places in your county alone that prescribe this. Thank you.
Great, great comment. I can't see anyone else from the public wish to be heard. Not seeing anyone. I will request a motion to adjourn the regular session.
So moved.
Thank you, Amy. Second.
Second O'Connell.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
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 Thank you, everyone. The public, thank you for your comments. Everyone have a good night.
Night, everybody.
Good night, everyone.
Aye.